The A-10 Thunderbolt II, affectionately nicknamed the Warthog, was developed for the United States Air Force by the OEM team from Fairchild Republic Company, now a part of Northrop Grumman Corporation Aeronautics Systems Eastern Region located in Bethpage, NY and St. Augustine, Florida. Following in the footsteps of the legendary P-47 Thunderbolt, the OEM team was awarded a study contract in the 1960s to define requirements for a new close air support aircraft, rugged and survivable, to protect combat troops on the ground. This initial study was followed up by a prototype development contract for the AX, and a final fly-off competition resulting in the selection of the A-10 Thunderbolt II. Selection of the A-10 Thunderbolt II for this mission was based on the dramatic low-altitude maneuverability, lethality, get-home safe, survivability, and mission-capable maintainability designed into the jet by the OEM team. This design features a titanium bathtub that protects the pilot from injury, and dually redundant flight control systems that allow the pilot to fly the aircraft out of enemy range, despite severe damage such as complete loss of hydraulic capability. These features have been utilized to great effect in both the Desert Storm conflict of the 1990s and in the more recent Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and Global War on Terror engagements. In 1987, the A-10 OEM team and all A-10 assets were acquired by Grumman Corporation from Fairchild Republic Company, and are now part of the Northrop Grumman Aeronautics Systems, presently partnered with Lockheed Martin Systems Integration as a member of the A-10 Prime team. The OEM team has maintained continuous involvement in the modernization of the jet, integrating the inertial navigation system in the 1970s, developing and installing the low-altitude safety and targeting enhancement ground collision avoidance system in the 1980s, and the night vision imaging system in the 1990s, and has demonstrated particular leadership in the planning and analysis required for managing the structural integrity of the airframe through the various changes in flight maneuver spectra, mission, and force structure. The A-10 aircraft structural integrity program began with the initial A-10 OEM development contract, with the definition of materials and processes, design analyses, component and full-scale testing, and data collection and analysis on an aircraft-by-aircraft basis, to validate analyses and accurately predict fatigue damage for the optimization of inspection intervals and maximization of aircraft availability. The A-10 OEM team continues to be a key member of the A-10 ASIP team, providing loads and structures analysis, performing full-scale and component testing, developing structural reinforcements and non-destructive inspection techniques to prevent structural failure, analyzing manufacturing methods for aircraft improvements and providing overall weapons system expertise for the support of the warfighter. The Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II is a single-seat, twin-turbofan, straight-wing, subsonic attack aircraft developed by Fairchild Republic for the United States Air Force USAF. In service since 1977, it is named after the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, but is commonly referred to as the Warthog, or simply, HOG. The A-10 was designed to provide close air support (CAS) to ground troops by attacking enemy armored vehicles, tanks, and other ground forces. It is the only production-built aircraft designed solely for CAS to have served with the U.S. Air Force. Its secondary mission is to direct other aircraft in attacks on ground targets, a role called Forward Air Controller Airborne, aircraft used primarily in this role or designated OA-10. The A-10 was intended to improve on the performance and firepower of the Douglas A-1 Skyraider. The Thunderbolt II's airframe was designed around the high-power 30mm GAU-8 Avenger rotary autocannon. The airframe was designed for durability, with measures such as 1,200 pounds (540 kilograms) of titanium armor to protect the cockpit and aircraft systems, enabling it to absorb damage and continue flying. Its ability to take off and land from relatively short and/or unpaved runways permits operation from airstrips close to the front lines, and its simple design enables maintenance with minimal facilities. It served in the Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm, the American-led intervention against Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, where the aircraft distinguished itself. The A-10 also participated in other conflicts such as the Balkans, Afghanistan, the Iraq War, and against the Islamic State in the Middle East. The A10A single-seat variant was the only version produced, though one pre-production airframe was modified into the YA10B twin-seat prototype to test an all-weather night-capable version. In 2005, a program was started to upgrade the remaining A10A aircraft to the A10C configuration, with modern avionics for use with precision weaponry. The U.S. Air Force had stated the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II would replace the A-10 as it entered service, but this remains highly contentious within the USAF and in political circles. The USAF gained congressional permission to start retiring A-10s in 2023, but further retirements were paused until the USAF can demonstrate that the A-10's close air support capabilities can be replaced. During this period, the United States Army had been introducing the Bell UH-1 Iroquois into service. First used in its intended role as a transport, it was soon modified in the field to carry more machine guns in what became known as the helicopter gunship role. This proved effective against the lightly armed enemy, and new gun and rocket pods were added. Soon the Bell AH-1 Cobra was introduced. This was an attack helicopter armed with long-range BGM-71 TOW missiles able to destroy tanks from outside the range of defensive fire. The helicopter was effective and prompted the U.S. military to change its defensive strategy in Europe into blunting any Warsaw Pact advance with anti-tank helicopters instead of the tactical nuclear weapons that had been the basis for NATO's battle plans since the 1950s. The Cobra was a quickly made helicopter based on the UH-1 Iroquois and was introduced in the mid-1960s as an interim design until the U.S. Army Advanced Aerial Fire Support System program delivered. The Army selected the Lockheed AH-56 Cheyenne, a more capable attack aircraft with greater speed for initial production. The development of the anti-tank helicopter concerned the USAF. A 1966 USAF study of existing close air support (CAS) capabilities revealed gaps in the escort and fire suppression roles that the Cheyenne could fill. The study concluded that the service should acquire a simple, inexpensive, dedicated CAS aircraft at least as capable as the A-1, and that it should develop doctrine, tactics, and procedures for such aircraft to accomplish the missions for which the attack helicopters were provided. On 10 February 1976, Deputy Secretary of Defense Bill Clements authorized full-rate production while the first A-10 was accepted by the USAF Tactical Air Command on 30 March 1976. Production continued and reached a peak rate of 13 aircraft per month. By 1984, 715 airplanes, including 2 prototypes and 6 development aircraft, had been delivered. When full-rate production was first authorized, the A-10's planned service life was 6,000 hours. A small design reinforcement was quickly adopted when initial fatigue testing failed at 80% of testing. The A-10 passed fatigue tests with the fix. 8,000 flight-hour service lives were becoming common at the time, so fatigue testing of the A-10 continued with a new 8,000-hour target. This new target quickly discovered serious cracks at Wing Station 23, WS-23, where the outboard portions of the wings are joined to the fuselage. The first production change was to address this problem by adding cold working at WS-23. Soon after, the USAF found that the real-world A-10 fleet fatigue was harsher than estimated, forcing a change to fatigue testing and introduce Spectrum 3 inches equivalent flight-hour testing. Spectrum 3 fatigue testing started in 1979. This round of testing quickly determined that more drastic reinforcement would be needed. The second change in production, starting with aircraft number 442, was to increase the thickness of the lower skin on the outer wing panels. A tech order was issued to retrofit the thick skin to the whole fleet, but the tech order was rescinded after roughly 242 planes, leaving about 200 planes with the original thin skin. Starting with aircraft number 530, cold working at WSO was performed, and this retrofit was performed on earlier aircraft. A fourth, even more drastic change was initiated with aircraft number 582, again to address the problems discovered with Spectrum 3 testing. This change increased the thickness of the lower skin on the center wing panel, but it required modifications to the lower spar caps to accommodate the thicker skin. The USAF found it economically unfeasible to retrofit earlier planes with this modification.